Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports, and welcome to the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's show, I'm going to give you 5 late round targets for the fantasy baseball season, which is fast approaching for a lot of people with spring training underway. We have all sorts of drafts going on here at RealTime Fantasy Sports, different price points, different options. You can play points leagues, you can play best ball leagues, you can do standard roto leagues, dynasty leagues, you name it. We have our high stake games as well. So get in a league at RealTime Fantasy Sports for baseball this year. Go to rtsports.com, click on that money league link, and see all the options we have to offer on there. But I'm going to give you some lists here in the coming weeks. I'm going to do some top fives here as the season gets ready to start here in about 5 weeks or so, I think is what the target date is here. So we're going to give you some lists. And my first one's going to be 5 late round targets for this year. These are guys with ADPs that are all above 230 except one of them. So you can get them very late in drafts. And the only one is my first option here, and that's Michael Toglia of the Colorado Rockies. His ADP is 177.4 right now. He hit just 218 last year, but his expected batting average was 244, which isn't bad. That's around league average actually these days, which is a little surprising, but that's where we are in baseball. So I expect his batting average to go up this year. And what was most impressive last year was his home run total. He had 17 on the road compared to 8 at home last year. Should be the other way around when you're playing in Colorado, but that wasn't the case for Toglia. And I think that's encouraging for his value going forward, especially if you look at these numbers. So he was 91st percentile for average exit velocity, 98th percentile for barrel percentage, 94th percentile for hard hit percentage, 93rd percentile for expected slugging percentage. So I think that really bodes well for him this year. I think his batting average numbers could go up. His home run numbers could be good again. And you can get him really cheap as an option at first base. 177 is his ADP right now. So I like Toglia to have another good season. My next late round target is Nick Lodolo of the Cincinnati Reds. His ADP is 235.47. His numbers last year were not great, 4.76 ERA last year, but his expected ERA was 3.72, so that's about a point lower. And he had a good whip, 1.20 whip last year, above average in several pitching categories as well, which I think bodes well for his chances going forward. 67th percentile for chase percentage, 70th percentile for whiff percentage, 64th percentile for strikeout percentage, 63rd percentile for ground ball percentage. So we get strikeouts and ground balls. He has more than 300. He has 300 Ks for his career in 253 innings. So that's more than a strikeout per inning. I think his ERA numbers are going to go down. I like him as a good back end filler for rotations this year for fantasy teams. So Nick Lodolo of the Reds is one of my favorite late round targets. Another one of my late round targets is MJ Melendez of the Kansas City Royals. Really kind of a horrible season last year. He hit just 206, but again, his numbers probably should have been better. He had an expected batting average of 239, so that's around league average once again, not nearly as bad as that 206. He was 80th percentile for average exit velocity, so he hit the ball very hard. 74th percentile for hard hit percentage as well. That tells me his numbers should have been better than what they were last year. He averages about 17 home runs per season the last 3 years as well. Just 26 years old, so I think there's room for growth. He's playing on an up-and-coming Royals team, in my opinion, with a good lineup. I think his numbers could get better this year, and his ADP is really cheap. Again, I think he's a good bench player that could end up outperforming that ADP. My next late round target is Jonathan India. That's another Royal actually this year. He heads there after playing with Cincinnati to start his career. He had just 248 last year, which was about league average, but his expected batting average, 266, which is 80th percentile. So that's a pretty good batting average. He gets on base a ton as well. So if you're in on base percentage leagues, I like him even more. 97th percentile for walk percentage, 98th percentile for chase percentage. Plate discipline just really good. I think that helps his overall numbers as well. And he's going to get you around 15 home runs, 15 stolen bases, and average around 265. Those are all really good numbers for a second base percentage. That's really second base spot that's actually kind of top heavy. Could qualify for outfield this year as well. So going to give you some position flexibilities there. I think he plays a lot in Kansas City this year, either at second or in the outfield. And he has a lot of good numbers that could help your fantasy team. You can get him really cheap. My last late round target for this year is a little bit of a guy he's on the tail end of his career. Let's don't kid around with things here. But Justin Verlander, he heads to San Francisco this year, but why not? His ADP is 270.65, so he's actually not going drafted in some leagues. He has a great track record, and his numbers last year were bad. He had a 5.48 ERA, but his expected ERA was just 3.78, which is 58th percentile above league average. Expected batting average was 234. So again, not bad numbers for a guy on the tail end of his career. You get him for next to nothing. He has an expected ERA over 4 just once since 2015. Moves to a pitcher's park in San Francisco. Not counting on him for a huge season, but I think he could rebound, post some decent numbers for San Francisco this year. A good guy to throw on your bench. Could end up being worth some starts along the way. Again, great track record, former Cy Young winner. Why not on Justin Verlander? All right, those are 5 of my late round targets for this year's fantasy baseball season. Good luck in all those drafts coming up. Again, get in the league at RealTime Fantasy Sports. All different options we have to offer you here at RT Sports. Go to rtsports.com to get in a league today. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports.